The Unfiltered Business Podcast, a place where young professionals come together to grow, evolve, and change for the better. A place where success is accessible. Welcome to the show. It's the Unfiltered Business Podcast. Welcome back. I am your host, Derek Thomas. It is Monday the 15th. When you are hearing this, it is going to be Wednesday the 17th of February. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope you had a good extended weekend. We have a great episode today. We interview Nic Jimenez. Nic was introduced to me through my wife and then her old business partner, Andrew Davidge. He is a man of many talents. Let's just put it that way. Excuse me. He's been the creative director at a number of companies. He's built a number of companies, and now he is a full-time artist and has done a ton of great work. You'll see a piece of art. I'll be scattering a few pieces of his art for those who watch the stream on YouTube. You'll see some stuff there. He actually did my guitar, which is standing right next to me, which you will see in the intro to the podcast. But super great guy, a lot of great insights. You'll hear this a few times, but we talk a lot about kind of the vibe, and I just dig his vibe. He's a really interesting guy. He's just like a natural born collaborator. You can see that in him the second you meet him. There's something extra creative running through him, and I appreciate him, and I thanked him for coming on. So look forward to that. I think you guys can get some great stuff out of it. He talks a lot about networking and just how he got to be where he was, and he was incredibly transparent. He's not one of these guys that's been on an upward he hasn't always been moving in the right direction, let's put it that way. And he talks about how he was homeless at one point, how his challenge with sobriety, and it's just this ongoing process that he's always going through. So he was incredibly transparent. He provided a lot of insights, a lot of great little nuggets that we can take away from that, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So on another note, it's Valentine's Day. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Valentine's Day is always a strange one for my wife, Allison, and I. We've been together for going on 14 years now. And so we always, for some reason, it was just never really a thing for us. I think we tend to be a bit of contrarian sometimes, where it's like, oh, we don't want to be falling into this Hallmark trap. And so, but we ended up having a nice brunch yesterday, and we ended up just like playing. We've been going into like this retro video game sort of thing, and so we bought the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 pack that came out over the summer, something like that, and we played that for a few hours and played Monopoly. So we had a throwback kind of board game video game night, so that was fun. And then today's President's Day, and President's Day, I don't even know what to do on President's Day. Like, I had a couple employees of ours requested it off, one because it was their anniversary, and of course, I always want these people to be able to take time off. And I was on the golf course this weekend, and I was playing by myself, but I had 3 other people kind of come join me, and I'll be able to bring this together. But anyways, my point was, we were talking, one of the guys had mentioned that he had gotten COVID like 6 weeks ago, something like that. And, I'm obviously interested, and I wanted to know how the whole thing went, how it went down, how he's feeling. And, he gave me the typical answer you hear, like, oh yeah, I was out for a week. I wasn't able to do a whole lot. And I'm still it took me a while to get my smell, my taste, all those senses back. And I was like, oh, like, how much work did you miss? And at that point, I think he said he was like 28 or 29. So he's late 20s guy. He's been in the professional world for 6-7 years, something along those lines. But he said he did not miss a day of work. And I said, for what reason? I was curious. He said he felt guilty missing work. And this kind of got me thinking, like, all day yesterday and into today, about kind of the boundaries that we have with our employers, with our own kind of work-life balance. And it brought up a lot of questions. Like, I don't know, because I remember, not COVID related, but just, with previous jobs that I've had, on days that you legitimately didn't feel well, I would call in and say, hey, I don't feel good. I'm going to miss. And I remember thinking, I hope they believe me, or I hope they don't think I'm lying. And I remember there was like always this like anxious feeling of, am I doing the right thing? And I think the more I think about it, the more the crazier it seems to me. And I mean, I don't know the point of what I'm getting at. It's like, I just wish that kind of I wish that our relationship with work was different, I guess. That one of the main reasons why Alice and I enjoy kind of running our own business here is that, we can call the shots to some extent. I mean, we can call the shots, but like there are things when, if we want to take a Friday off, we can do that. If we want to sleep in on a Monday because we had a long weekend, we can do that. There's many freedoms, and obviously we don't have the steady paycheck that other people may have, but we're past that, and I'm not. That's not something I worry about. But my point is like, I think we should try and move in a direction that's more in our employees' favor. It's like, I think I saw something that Salesforce came out this week saying that the 9 to 5 is dead. And I thought that was a really interesting take. I thought that was a move in the right direction, because the idea that people work steadily from 9 to 5 and are productive at every point during the day is freaking crazy. Like, it makes no sense to me. I think if we could somehow get people to put in 3 hours a day of productive work, like, everything would get done, and probably even less than that. My point is, I think there's a lot of time wasted, and there's this thing where it's like people need to see you, they need to see you working. But again, this is just kind of a silly rant that I'm going off of, but it really made me think when this kid said that he worked for a big corporate company. This was not, Joe Schmo's restaurant down the road. This was a big time, you've all heard of it. It was like a retail company, and the kid couldn't miss work, and he had COVID. So I think it shows, and I've heard similar stories like this. So I think it shows that there's something off in that work relationship that we have. So anyways, I hope that my employees never feel that way about us. That's a goal that I have. I always want, employees that work for Polygon to enjoy working with us and be able to do it on their time, at least to the majority of their extent. It's like, there's obviously times when things are due, things need to be done. And if it's not, like, there are consequences, but I don't think it has to do with, like, if you're sick, stay the fuck home. Like, that shouldn't be an issue. Guess what, guys? We're at that point now where I'm rambling, and I think it's time to get to the show. So again, we have Nic Jimenez on the show. I'm going to be splicing some artwork in here. For those, Nic shares his Instagram handle and stuff, but I'll put that in the bio as well. If you haven't seen his artwork, it's awesome. He talks a lot about kind of his influences, the things he leans into, and he just does some really cool shit, and he's worked with some really cool brands that you guys should check out too. So without further ado, Nic Jimenez. Joining us today. Nic, thank you for coming on.
Hey, I really like your green screen background.
Good choice. You like that? It's as basic as it could possibly be.
Hey, I know an artist who could fix that for you, make something.
Seriously. Hey, I already have a piece of art that you did hanging on my wall over here.
Oh, good, man. Good.
Let's see.
Good.
You remember this guy?
Oh, yeah. There it is, man.
It's my favorite, dude. I love this thing.
Yeah, the Ripper. Got to get Telecasters are great, for sure.
Well, I mean, that kind of leads me into my first question. Well, actually, first, let me jump into this first. So we are stepping out of my realm of expertise here, right? Like, I know design. You're more of an artist. I think they're a little different, right? Like, to me, and you can tell me what you think, but I think design is more kind of intentional, whereas art can be a little more free form. I mean, you agree with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many different styles of art.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think free form and kind of like if you're painting and it's all about emotion, that's a different style than maybe when you have to sort of consolidate all your thoughts and be a bit more methodical, and with that execution. But yeah, I mean, art is art, man. It's about what's coming out of your insides and going out.
Right. That's kind of my point. Like, I think, our company does design work all the time. We're doing graphic design, web design, and there's always kind of like a rhyme or reason about it, right? It's like we're trying to on those lines. Whereas art, like you said, kind of comes from within. You're trying to express yourself. There's no real like goal in mind, I would imagine, at least. You tell me if you think differently.
I think that I've always been an observer.
I mean, you're trying to make something beautiful, obviously.
Yeah, but even when it's not so beautiful, I mean, like, one could look at the presidential seal and say, well, like, maybe it's not beautiful, but maybe it's there's some sort of art behind that, but
sure,
there has to be balance, there has to be form. And I think growing up as an observer, I learned very much to kind of look at art in everything. I mean, even I see a lot of art that's organic. I have tons of plants around me all the time, and sometimes I look at plants when they start to bloom. It's like, wow, this is like really artistic. And some people will devote their lives to only painting flowers and landscapes, which is pretty cool too.
It is. It's super cool. And I know we kind of jumped into this. I want to give a little background on who you are. So, Nic Jimenez, you're a full-time artist. And, you talked about when you're growing up being like kind of an observer. And I'm interested to kind of hear your journey, because you have had, from what I know about you, I know you a little bit. We've been connected through my wife, Allison, through Andrew Davidge at Vintage Electric, but you've been all over the place. You've been creative director at a number of companies. I'm curious to kind of your journey from, growing up here in the Bay Area to, being the director at some of these bigger companies to being a full-time artist. Like, how did that kind of work itself out?
Life is really about timing, and I
Okay.
think that talent is really that much anymore. And networking is about
You think
that
so?
much. And then timing
Okay.
is massive. But
Right.
I was actually, I'm born to an immigrant, and then I was raised in a really violent neighborhood. It was East Palo Alto in the 80s going into the 90s.
Yeah, EPA, yeah.
It was the murder capital of the US per capita. And when I would visit my grandparents, it was on the other side of Oakland, which was like the number 3 or number 4. And I saw a lot, I saw a lot. And I think, the one thing that really kept me from getting my ass kicked in school was the fact that I could draw. I was a pretty decent artist.
Interesting.
So, the bullies would come to kick my ass, and someone would stop them and be like, "Oh, no, he's cool. He could draw." And so I'd end up drawing.
It's almost like a coping mechanism, yeah. That's crazy, yeah.
And also, East Palo Alto is now a gold mine of real estate, because the values were so low that you have, IKEA and Amazon and all these bigger Fortune 500 companies have all kind of come in. Facebook came in. And I think just being in and around that, and being raised in a time where everything was very analog, and then everything in my lifetime became very digital. I went to college to study architecture, and I dropped out because my minor was in photography, and I couldn't make that switch. It was right around 1995. So everything was going from analog to digital. And the
big shift,
weren't very reliable, but my hands were reliable. I could draw, I could sketch, I could photograph. So I just took that and, worked a pretty shitty, good paying job. I was a landscaper. I was laying pavers, I was digging trenches. I was like, my pops is old school, man. He was like, if you're going to drop out of school, then you better learn a trade. And I fucking hated it, man. I mean, I really, like, with Satan's passion, man, I hated getting up and getting in a truck and working all day and having to pack a lunch, man. It wasn't good at the time for my soul. And I just wanted to I was like, I don't know, maybe 17, 18. I just wanted to like smoke weed and like hook up with with girls, man. That's
Sure. Yeah. It's a good life.
and play guitar. That's all I wanted to
Yeah.
do, and maybe paint a little. And here was my old man saying, learn a trade or get out. And sadly, after doing that, my parents lost their house, and I was essentially homeless at about 20 years old.
Yeah, I read this on your site. I had no idea. That's insane.
Yeah.
So how did you battle back from that?
Thankfully, I had this background in martial arts, which I wasn't thinking about that at the time. Like, hey, I'm homeless. Let me do some pit fighting out in the back alley for money. I wish that was my story. It was more like I had this incredible self-discipline. Watching people get shot, watching people get arrested, watching people, commit suicide and get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
I knew that those options were really bad, and I started I really focused on the landscape thing, and I thought for a while maybe I'll just be a contractor like my pops, and both my brothers work in the industry, and they're doing really well. But I always wanted to be an artist. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else ever.
Right. Well, there's definitely those times where we need that shitty job to just kind of tell you like what you don't need to do and what you don't want to do in life. And so it sounds like you kind of always had something that you wanted to do. It was just like, how can I make it reality? Right.
Well, yeah. And that's that's the beautiful thing again about timing, and that things then became digital, and I just sort of self-taught myself Photoshop and Illustrator, but I had that analog background already.
Right.
I had like 20 years of analog drawing and sketching and drafting and painting.
And making that shift is not easy either, especially if you're so used to that world. Yeah.
So I thought about taking night classes at one point, but it never panned out. I was just so focused on trying to be creative. Sort of jumped into the automotive world, started making videos, started taking photos, and I think that's where I started getting a bit more attention for my work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, was there a big break moment that kind of like dropped you into this, hey, I can use my creative brain to kind of, make a living?
Yeah, I had, somewhere in there I had kids, and that took a huge bit of time to adjust.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I did meet a neighbor, and the two of us just thought, it'd be really cool to get people together on a computer. I don't think Reddit was really a thing. It might have been at the time. This is like 2003, 2004, and we used vBulletin, which was an existing platform that you could have. They were called bulletin boards back then.
Okay.
You were probably like 5 years old in this.
Dude, I'm not that young. I was in high school. Okay, fair enough.
Well, you look young, man. You look young.
Hey, I'll take that as a compliment, but keep going.
You have a young spirit, man.
Thank you.
And the car thing, I was always really into cars. My old man was really into cars, and I thought, there wasn't really, there was no mainstream Facebook. YouTube wasn't really a thing.
Right.
I really had this thirst for knowledge, and I've always had it. I used to cut school, smoke weed, and hang out reading the entire encyclopedia from like A to Z.
No shit.
Literally what I did, man. I could tell you a little bit about everything. Dinosaurs.
Interesting. It makes sense knowing you now, and because of like all the things that you jump in and out of. Sure. It makes sense that you have this like broad interest in just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, man. I'm not the best guitar player. I'm not the best drummer, but if you came over and said, let's jam, I could keep up. I could keep up with someone who's trained in it and someone who's sort of a novice. And I think that having that ability 100%. to kind of go with the flow is very much what being an artist is about.
I think that's a great point. And, the one of the ways that I do know you is that we have had I'm an amateur guitar player, and we did have a couple like jam sessions back in the day pre-COVID. I miss those days a little bit, but your brother would come up, and there's a certain vibe about you. Your brother has it too. And I remember just trying to tap into it when we were playing. Like, cause art is not in my background. It's not something that runs in the family. It's not something that, I was never sitting, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. So the one thing that I did want to do, I used to want to design skate parks. Like, so I used to just draw like ramps and shit. But other than that, there was not really like art in my background, right? And so I remember when we were playing together, and I'm always a little stiff in the beginning, right? I'm a little hesitant, a little insecure about my playing, but you and your brother just like sync in together. And I remember just being like, I got to get on that fucking level. And I think that's something what art can do, right? Or if you're confident enough, at least, is being able to kind of like match that intensity or match that, sync up somehow. And I remember being like a little jealous of you two, and you guys are brothers, so it's different too. But like, I remember being like, fuck, how can I get into this world that these two are in? Because you guys are able to kind of bounce off each other without speaking. You can just glance at each other and do it. And it was a cool thing. We only did it like 3 or 4 times, but there's definitely like a feeling, a vibe when you're kind of in there doing your thing.
Well, I think that vibe is an important word.
Yeah.
These youngsters, they use that a lot. Like, yo, man,
it's a vibe, dude.
Studio is the vibe. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. But I think for me, the vibe is sort of the diet of what you intake every day. I think that when I drank, one beer every day or one, Jack and Coke every day, that became a part of my diet. My body relied on those calories. And, sometimes I would get super shit faced and wake up in a weird place.
Sure.
I don't have that anymore. I'm right around 8 years sober. I've lost count because it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, congrats, man. That's huge.
It's like, dude, it's like, people are always so inquisitive about it. And they're like, oh man, was it hard? Did you go to rehab? And for me, it was very much about, I always relate it to someone who decides that they want to become a vegetarian or a vegan. It's just simply a lifestyle change.
Right.
Some people have harder struggles than other people. For me, I'm just like wanting to constantly improve myself. And the word prove is in there too. And I think that, you want to, I think once you become aware and you sort of make peace with all your insecurities, that's when you fucking slay, man. That's when, for sure. Okay, like I'm overweight, I'm losing my hair, I'm gray, okay.
You just embrace it.
Out there. Like I'm great now,
right.
And
you're not hiding anymore, you're like, this is me. Yeah.
And you attract
I love that.
what you put out too. And so that's what I'm talking about. The vibe is very much what your diet becomes. So, with music, music is important, man. I got vinyl, I got the digital stuff, and there's always music going on. So even if I'm not thinking about it or directly like listening to it or studying the words, it's coming through. It's coming through the room. It's coming through me. And it could be anything from like Iggy Pop to Carlos Santana, all the way to like some new shit that like one of my kids showed me, like, oh yeah, you got to listen to this, this X. And I go, what's X? I don't even know what that is. It sounds like a drug. No, he's this rapper, but he sings too. And
it's crazy now, man. Like the music world. I mean, I'm 33, and I fucking can't keep up anymore, dude. Like it's one of those things where I still listen to the same shit that when I was like a junior in high school. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is my band, this is my group, dude. Like
but that's nostalgia, man. That's
but I love it. It's like in my playlist currently. It's not like, oh yeah, this is a great throwback mix. Like, nah, dude, this is like my vibe mix. And it's part of it.
You're 33, so that's like you're like Sum 41 and Blink 182.
There's definitely some of that in there. That's for sure.
Good, man. I missed that. I'm glad I missed that, but I still appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the vibe, the art, and again, having a bit of success doing the car stuff. That's what led me to then. I started with a friend this V Bulletin website called L4P, and it was really a place. It was, I call it pre-Facebook. I call it pre-YouTube. You can essentially load up videos and photos of your own car, truck, or motorcycle. And, long story short, we had something crazy like 2 million members. And all of a sudden we were creating ad revenue. And it was wild, man.
This is like pre-ad revenue on the internet too, I would imagine. Like this is all a
it
new
was
thing.
like direct advert. I mean, these people had to come straight to us, and we had to get a sales manager, and
Wow.
she led the way, and that was great. And then we jumped from that into taking because we were so analog, we took that digital, that digital hangout of like 2 million members, and then created a rally out of that. And it's called the Gold Rush Rally. And the great thing is that I left in 2010 and it's still going on. I mean, there's still rallies once a year, and it's all these like, your BMWs and your Mercedes, and these guys decorate their cars, and these gals go out for these crazy drives and they party. And it's cool to see it still going. I mean, I think that the network that was built there, it still has crossed over for me in the art world. And I can get back to that in a bit, but it was the success in those brands that allowed me to meet Andrew and become an early part of Vintage Electric.
Right.
I think at the time they had maybe 2 or 3 electric bikes. Vintage Electric was kind of getting off the ground. And I remember the first time I rode it, it was like, it was.
There's nothing like it.
No, it was a nostalgic, like overwhelming, exhilarating, visceral experience. And
totally.
That was our first meeting. Andrew was like maybe 20 years old or something.
He was a kid, dude. Yeah. Well, Allison was going to work for him, and she's like, yeah, I met this guy. We like met at a bar. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, who is this guy? And I met him, and I was like, this guy, is he still in high school? He's a kid. And no offense to Andrew. He's awesome. I love Andrew. But like my first, because he was a kid. So my first impression was like, you're going to go work for this guy? Like, does he even have his shit together? But once I rode the bike, I was like, no, this is the real deal. Like, there is nothing like it. Really nothing like it. And that was what, 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, man. He had been trying to get a meeting with me forever. And I think that I was really into the fixie thing, and I was working with this company down in Huntington Beach called Livery Design Group. Eric had been enormously successful with the fixie thing, and I got into the fixie thing, and I was starting to get sober at the time. So it was like important for me to like get out, move my body. And I was starting to paint a lot. It was a lot of painting, a lot of drawing, but I couldn't sell one piece, man. Like literally I was almost embarrassed to tell people that I was an artist because the rejection was so heavy.
Right.
And then Andrew kept like, I want to say he reached out maybe 3 or 4 times for me to take a meeting with him. And when I heard the word electric bike, I was completely and totally turned off. I imagined this like super geeky, Tivas with socks, guys riding to their tech jobs. And I just thought there's no way that I'm going to fit into this. So
like, how is this going to be cool?
How am I even going to talk to this guy? Right. And he's a kid, he's a child. Like I'm, almost twice his age, and I'm trying to get my life together. You know what I mean? And anyway, I finally was like, oh, all right, man, sure. I'll take a meeting with you. Fine. I was literally thinking I'm just going to appease this kid so that he'll stop calling me. I don't know if he knows that story, but that's really how it felt.
I mean, it shows the kind of determination that he has and the passion that he has.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I love that.
He was tenacious. And our first meeting, I show up to this little warehouse, and he had 2 bikes, and they were fully charged. And that was our meeting was,
we're going to go for a ride
on bikes, talking, just kind of riding through this industrial neighborhood, maybe like 5 or 6 in the evening. And we had like a 45-minute meeting on these bikes. And, when I think when I drove home, I think I called like 3 people and said, oh my God, this thing is rad. We made a video and it became a real company. And I'm still working with them today. It's been 8 years, and I've been on that ride with them, and it's been incredibly successful. And my job has been everything. I mean, with any startup, you have to wear many hats. You're not just the marketing guy. You're not just the photographer. You're not just you're literally, if the phone rings and everybody's busy, you answer it. You're the secretary. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And people who maybe didn't last at that brand, maybe they didn't really understand the culture of the startup, but
sure.
I never really read about it. I just sort of jumped in, and I realized really quickly, and you don't get paid either. That's another thing. You spend a couple days, you spend a couple of years just, having to have your side hustle.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yeah,
That's
it's gotta be a passion, right? Like, cause
sure.
Allison and I we're going on like 3.5 years together. She's been running Polygon obviously for a few years prior to that, but like, we're paying the bills, but we're not making bank, dude. We're not like rolling to the fucking bank and making these massive deposits. But like, I wake up every morning, I love it. I'm having fun, and there's promise for the future, right? And that's all you can hope for in these startups, right? You're
Yeah.
building the cool fucking product. People love it. Like, there's something, because Andrew gave us a few bikes to take to like some bullshit party once, and you throw anybody on that bike, there's nothing but smiles, dude. Like, there's no way to get around it, but people are going to have a good time. Like, you talk about this meeting that you guys had, that should be their sale. That's how they should sell bikes. Be like, hey, take it for a ride and we're just going to cruise, and 90% they're going to close. Like, there's just like a visceral reaction to that bike.
Anyone who works sales at Vintage Electric, there's no commission. These things sell themselves.
Right.
I'm sorry to Eddie, who's probably going to listen to this.
Right.
I'm part teasing, only part.
Of course.
But yeah, man, the ride with them, and again, I think again, that original network. I think one important thing to remember about all this, when we're talking about business and we're talking about sort of the end goal, which was for me to be a full-time artist, was what type of network are you building for yourself? I think that people get so wrapped up in technology that they forget that you, Derek, you are your own intellectual property.
Yeah.
What you've learned, the mistakes that you've made. I heard once someone told me, success is standing on a mountain made of mistakes, and
I like that.
I am a testament to that every single day, because anybody who knows me will tell you, God, that guy was like the biggest fuck up for like the longest time. Good heart, sure. Good smile. You got the good you got the good business card up here.
Sure.
But it is truly all about your networking style and developing trust over the years. So I was
gonna say, it's like accountability and all that kind of stuff. You're building that up so people know that they can trust you, right? Exactly what you're saying.
Well, especially when people are sending you a lot of money.
Right.
And you have to deliver, and you have to deliver on the dates that you say you're going to deliver. I mean, I think that's incredibly challenging for someone who, is maybe used to getting taken care of. And I think that's a problem now with people don't want to get hurt. People don't want to fuck up,
Totally.
People just want to have their life handed to them. And I keep hearing all the OGs say that because it's true. You got to put yourself out there. And if I've been rejected probably by 200 galleries. and I've had people walk by my art and say, wow, that's scary. I would never hang that up in my house. But then I've heard people say, the opposite too. And, a lot of the creative stuff with vintage, I mean, everything from like colors to styling. I got involved with Roshire for a while. Roshire, they are just growing at an incredible rate now. And I remember when I first met the founder, Nassim, he knew about my work at L4P. He knew about my work at Rush Rally.
I was going to ask how that whole thing worked out. Yeah.
Well, he knew about the branding side, and he knew about my photography and videography and some of my graphic design work. And there was no office. I mean, this guy was driving like an old, like 93 Honda or something, and I couldn't believe that he was driving like, I call it an hour and a half to meet me at Phil's Coffee in Palo Alto. And I would leave these meetings kind of scratching my head, because he's like, yeah, I want to do this thing where people order roses online. And I'm like, man, that's like, I think that's been done before.
Like, right. I was like, there's plenty of those.
It sounds kind of like a fail again. And he was just so ambitious, and I could really truly hear the hunger. And I don't know if he was sleeping in his car, but like it kind of looked like he was sleeping in his car, man. Like seriously, it was tough times in the beginning. I mean, you check them out now on Instagram, and they got like 200,000 followers.
Yeah, they're killing it. I mean, their packaging, and I know you have a lot to do with that, is some of the best looking shit you will find. I mean, there's all those Books and whatever, flower.com, whatever. There's nothing that compares to like that package that arrives.
Well, and Books and Farm Girl, I mean, they're great brands, great branding.
Totally.
We have huge funding, huge VC money up the ass.
Right.
Seam and Roshire, man. I mean, this thing has been bootstrapped since day one. I mean, you want to talk about rejection. You want to talk about celebrities over promising. I mean, I've seen it all with Roshire, man. And again, you have to just trust your product and trust your customers, stay innovative. And now there's, huge licensing deal with Disney. And I think that that's just been, again, a huge testament to persistence and networking. And, nobody gets any kind of education saying, okay, you're going to be president or you're going to be CEO of your company and this is how you do it. There's no playbook.
Right.
And the playbook.
And you can read all the books you want too. And it's like, until you're sitting in that chair, you got no fucking clue.
Yeah. And it's doing good, man. And we're like right around Valentine's Day too.
Yeah.
So
I'll make sure to get this up by then.
Man, Valentine's, Mother's Day. I mean, Roshire is definitely next level. And I think that, you'll see that there's too many, I mean, the whole like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, it's so oversaturated with all these flower brands. But again, it's like, it's not even necessarily about being first. It's about like, how do you really conduct the business, and how does the brand deliver on its promise?
Right. And it's about like, niching down too. It's like understanding your client better than any other brand. Right. Because like, we're a branding agency, right? So we talk with people all the time. And the main thing that everyone wants, more sales, more customers, right? And my first question is always, well, who is your customer? Right? Like, who is your target ideal audience? And they're like, well, I just want more. I'm like, that's not the right answer.
Right.
Like, we all want more. Of course, we want leads. We want, whatever it is to drive revenue. We all want it. But like, if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. Right. You have to understand who it is that who's going to be benefiting from your product. Right. And you got to know them better than anybody. And that's how you show up on Instagram. That's how you show up on Facebook and TikTok and you name it. So it's a wild game out there that we all have to play. It's tough. It can be frustrating at times, but when you really pull it off, there's really like nothing more satisfying. And I think that Vintage Electric has nailed it. Roshire has nailed it. And I mean, from the other companies that I've seen you work at, SS Customs, eGarage, like those guys all have these crazy followings as well. So there's something that you're doing that's really connecting, which, I have to applaud you for.
Well, listen, man, I'm not an analytics guy. I've never been. I never look at the numbers. I never look at the margins. I mean, I'm strictly focused on the creative stuff. And
it's probably a good thing.
And I think that having the upbringing that I had, it's all like super cross-cultural too. I mean, I was into collecting sneakers in 1986, dude. I was like 9 years old.
Like Jordan 1s, or are we talking other stuff?
It was other stuff. I mean, Jordan was inspired by a lot of these streetwear brands that I was into, like Troop and Fila and British Knights. These were all brands that were already around, man. And like, in my neighborhood, like the hero was this guy named Michael Washington, and he was a straight up drug dealer. And he drove this candy apple red Mustang. And I remember he would drive down my street, and it would be like LeBron James just walked into your living room. I mean, that's what it felt like, And he would like park, talk to the neighbors, and he had on these like cool sneakers and the gold chain and the see-through beeper, and like all the kids wanted that. Everybody wanted to like look like that. And so sneakers were a big part. Sneakers, music, cars, fashion, it was all there.
Yeah.
In 1985, 1986. But now you have all these kids now that are like into the Supreme and, the throwback Jordans and whatever. And I just say, man, like, wow, this shit is everlasting, man. This shit's been around since I was a kid, and I was like collecting and way into it, man. I mean, like way into that stuff. So, I think just kind of, again, just paying attention to your surroundings and kind of like, staying true to form, like who you are, what your vibe diet is, and I'm still into sneakers, man. I still collect sneakers. And, that was never fake. Even now, I know a lot of people collect sneakers now, man. It's fake as shit, dude.
Oh yeah,
they
it's
just
like a
buy them
money
to
grab
flip
too.
them.
They're like,
Yeah,
oh man, I'm gonna flip these things. Like,
buy them to
well,
flip them, man.
and
Whatever,
if
man.
you're not gonna wear them, like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
my thing. I know some people will wear them, but like, if you're not gonna wear them, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, man. It's a, I think that a lot of things that are throwback now, there's a certain thing, like you look at like vintage electric, or you
Mhm.
look at, Roshire. These are things that are timeless.
Yeah.
I kind of look at things like, jeans, white t-shirt, black t-shirt, a pair of Converse or a pair of Vans. I mean, you could take a picture of a kid and you won't even know what year it
It's
was.
timeless.
As
Yeah.
long as they're wearing that, it's like, and it's that style that I like so much.
Mhm.
I had to really bust ass at SS Customs. That was another brand that I joined around 2012, maybe.
Mhm.
And that was all about, again, with all these brands that I'm talking about, the culture is important. The networking is important. I
Yeah.
mean, one day I'll be a secretary. Next day I'm the designer. The next day I'm the photographer. The next day I'm the videographer. Um, having versatility, I think, is really important in being a creative,
Yeah.
or even in being a boss. Knowing how to talk to the people that you're working with.
Mhm.
Being able to read people, being able to know what the vibe is when you walk in the room, and exercising the ability to talk about anything.
Right.
If somebody walked in the room and started talking about basketball, shit, man, I'd have at least 5 things to say. If someone came in and talked about ballet, I could tell them the one time I went to the ballet and had to leave because I had explosive diarrhea.
Oh, there you go. That's a story.
At least if you have like stories to tell, man, it's like people will vibe with you. People will want
Right.
to.
There's that connection that you want to make, right? No
Sure,
matter how you get there, it's got to
sure.
be there.
Sure. And I
Right.
think that, what this is all kind of leading to is that since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be an artist. I
Right.
knew I wanted to be a painter, an artist. And I remember having this like career day where all the parents come and you stand in front of class and you're like, when I grow up, I want to be president of the United States. And then everyone claps. And then the next person goes up and says, I want to be a hot dog vendor or whatever. I remember my teacher in kindergarten talking me out of being an artist,
Really?
literally
I believe
saying
it. Yeah.
that that wasn't a real profession. Her heart was probably broken by an artist. I mean, we don't know her story, but
Sure.
she literally convinced me into going in front of the class and saying that I wanted to be a lawyer. And then before you go down, you could take questions.
Mhm.
And someone raised their hand and said, hey, Nikki, why do you want to be a lawyer when you grow up? And my answer was, because lawyers make a lot of money.
Right.
Everyone laughed, and then I went and sat down. And I remember just feeling so like dishonest. You
Yeah.
know what I
That
mean?
shit'll stick with you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you know what, man? I don't know where that teacher is now, but she did me a favor because that's all I ever wanted to do. Because I
Yeah.
felt like I felt like I lied. I was like that Red Ryder kid in that Christmas movie where
Yeah.
he tells Santa he wants a football, and then Santa kicks him down the slide, and he's like, "Wait, no, I want a Red Ryder." It was totally like that, dude. I mean, that's I think that's why I love that movie so much.
Mhm.
And all these brands along the way, man, the L4P, the E-Garage, the Gold Rush Rally, SS Customs, Vintage Electric, Roshire,
Yeah.
all those partners that I had, they were all supportive of me becoming an artist. And they knew that, I think they all must have known it wasn't easy. It's not easy.
Right.
You don't just get into galleries. You don't just get into these bigger art fairs and you're just, that's it.
Yeah, well, that kind of leads me into like how I want to. We're running long, but I'm having fun, so let's not worry about it too much. But I'm interested in knowing kind of, you talked about how in the beginning you were terrified to let anybody even know that you were an artist, right? It's like, hey, I'm
Right.
going to keep this secret. Starting there, becoming an artist of your stature, using your Instagram store to really like, I'm assuming that generates most of your revenue, right? For your living expenses. I mean, how does one go about that? Because I know that this is a dream for a lot of people, right? They're like, this is a passion of mine. How do I make it a career? So, I mean, what would you say to these kids or whoever it may be? Maybe they're 40, who knows?
Well, again, I think putting yourself out there and making a ton of mistakes, but while you're putting yourself out there, build that network.
Yeah.
Because, I have someone recently from, God, I'm dating myself here, but like 2005, maybe, from back in the L4P days, reach out to me on Facebook and say, hey, I want to buy that painting. And I haven't talked to this dude, and I can't even do math, bro. It seems like such a long time ago that we had any kind of correspondence. And, the gist of it was like, I've been watching you, I've been watching you grow. And I think that, honestly, I look back, there's a saying I like. It's like every great painter has a closet full of shitty paintings.
That makes sense.
If you look at that really deeply, no matter what you do, it's true of a lot of us, man. It goes back to, how much do you fail? How good are you at failing? Because ultimately that's how successful you'll be.
Right.
So that network of building from like the car stuff, the bike stuff, the videography stuff, there's such a vast reach of people that I've come in contact with.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? At some point, I want to write a book about these adventures, about like delivering art to people's homes. Man, I don't even know if I could really talk about this stuff, but like before COVID, I would do these like quarterly deliveries down to LA. There's a lot of my customers, clients, friends in LA. I would just load up a truck, drive to LA, and dude, I get myself into these situations where I'm bringing in a piece of art. Some people are celebrities. Some people are, I don't even know what they do, like drug dealers. I have no idea. But I know that when I walk out of those interactions, there's always a different feeling. I'm either happy, I'm confused, but there's always like a real emotion there from actually meeting the people who are buying your work. And that's kind of across every industry, but it's something that I learned when delivering a bike, when creating some kind of new packaging for the roses. I mean, there's always somebody on the other end who's interesting and has an interesting story. And again,
totally.
I like the stories. I like people. I think I like them enough to spend all my days alone in my art studio. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think it's interesting too, because like there's a vulnerability, right? Of hey, this is a creation of mine, and I'm putting it out there, hoping that someone else loves it and pays money for it. And then when you're doing these personal deliveries, right? It's almost who knows what's going to happen, and you can walk in and be like, you know what, this wasn't what I was expecting. Like, give me my check back, or whatever that may be. Is so like walking out and then being like, dude, this is great. I love it. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. Whatever it is, like I can see where that real emotion comes from. Like walking out there being like, I don't know what's going to happen, and that's exciting. And so I think that goes back to exactly what you were saying, where it's like I have to at least put myself out there, and that's kind of a through line. I've talked to a lot of people so far. And the whole point behind this podcast was like, let's figure out what separates those like, worker bees, the 9-to-5ers who maybe have dreams, but they feel held back, versus those who are like, I'm really going to get out there and chase it. And it's the people that want to chase it are the ones that are willing to fail, like you said.
There's something that I heard really early on. I did a lot of self-work around 2012 when I started living more healthy and a sober lifestyle. And I would just read every day. I would try and find one quote that somebody wrote or that, something that was passed on kind of word of mouth. And I want to say it's been adapted by Kung Fu Panda or something cheesy like that since then. But it really does make a lot of sense. As hallmarky as it sounds, it's something to the effect of everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I have found that so many times that like I give that advice to people when they come to me and say, man, I'm in a really shitty spot. And I go, look, you probably heard this on Kung Fu Panda. I don't even know where it's from, man. Seriously, plug to them. But it really is true, man, because I think we are sort of naturally programmed to be a little bit a little bit in fear and a little bit scared of something new.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't tried before. And I can tell you, man, I have called every gallery. I had one gallery say, hey, yeah, man, your stuff looks good. meet me at my gallery tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. I went there at 1:30 p.m. and they didn't even show up. I think that's the worst kind of rejection, you know?
Yeah, that's
And I'm
pretty
not
bad.
even sad about it, man. I'm just saying, like, I think I think I drove away and I think I probably ingested like 5,000 calories of food. You know, it's like, didn't even know what I'm like, Jesus, well, that sucks. That's
Right.
probably the worst rejection ever. I'm going to go have like 5 hamburgers now,
Mm.
you know, and pass out until
Yeah, that
tomorrow.
hurts.
But, you know, then, you know, I mean, listen, dude, I want to say it was like, I was already a full-time artist. Things were starting to look pretty promising. I ended 2018 like breaking even. And breaking even means paying all your bills and not
Yeah.
having any debt, and also like not driving any Ferraris or anything. You know, like those days are way behind. But yeah, man, I started off January 2019 really strong networking. I mean, I think I had a bid out to Google to do a really nice big art piece. I was starting to look at more corporate artworks for companies that had like publicly traded company. And I had all this artwork out, man, that all these quotes. And I was moving a big piece of glass and I almost severed my hand off, dude.
I remember you telling me about this.
It was the worst way to start 2019, man. It literally.
You sent me a picture too, and it was like, and I'm pretty cringy
It
when it
was
comes to
gruesome.
that stuff. It was bad.
I mean, I won't even get to. I mean, if somebody wants to know the story, I will tell it. Contact me, I will tell it. But my point to that is that, like, dude, I started like falling behind on my house payments, man. Like, I like barely afford this house I bought. I had to get a roommate. I never lived with anyone other than my brothers, and you know, it was a bit of a sacrifice. You know, luckily I just have great family, great support around me, and sort of rehab my way back. But 2019 was like the year of me falling behind on everything. I was like making art, you know, barely turning a profit. I mean, just profit enough to, you know, spend money on food.
Right.
And it was so hard. 2019, that was like my you know, probably like my third going on like 3 years of being a full-time artist, that like I was almost ready to give up, but I did again have the support of the SS Customs and Roshire and Vintage Electric, where they're like,
hey, you're falling back on your network, like you said. Like, hey, I didn't burn bridges with these people. They all appreciated my artwork. They let me fall back on it. And now that I may need someone, you know, hey, I can service myself out for other work, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was taking contract work from them, you know, even though I wasn't doing the full-time startup thing with them anymore. I knew the culture, I knew the brands. So they were kind of like, well, we don't really need a videographer to come in here. We'll just have Nic come on board, and you know, he doesn't
do
need
a little bit of everything.
You know, he kind of wrote the book on how to photograph these bikes, or you know, he wrote the book on you know, how these roses are going to be photographed for the website. And I had gone into 2020 like first 3 months, I mean, like so optimistic and just so crushing it. And I had sold 2019. I got invited to go to Art Basel, which is like the Super Bowl of art events. And
is that the one up in Oakland?
No, that's actually it's in Florida. It's in
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
The Arts District.
It's like a big like kind of like street art festival, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine art, but I had gone with Vintage to do a bike thing like a couple years previous, and I saw everything that I was doing wrong. I met this artist on Instagram. His name is Mijares, and I remember him saying something to the effect of like, yeah, man, you know, you got to really embrace your culture, your Latino roots, man. Like, you got to go deep with that. And you know, I think he was like driving and just, I think he was just jiving with me, but like it really struck a chord. And I went home and like just really started embracing my culture and my heritage and my upbringing. You know, that whole like hip hop from the hood, you know. Latin family, and I just like, everything took off after that. And I've reached out to him a couple of times. He's a wonderful artist and a wonderful human. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea what an impact your like one conversation. I think it was driving, dude. He's like super cool. He's just like driving with his like pinky out, you know, and he's just saying, this is what you got to do, man. This is how you got to do it. And I became so fixated on like, I will have my art at Art Basel one day, you know, and I really focused on that. And I think the end of 2019, for as shitty as it was, it ended with me selling 3 pieces at Art Basel. And I didn't even have enough money to buy a plane ticket to go out there, man. You know, it was that much of a struggle. So 2020, I was flying so high. And then the shutdown happened like at my birthday dinner on March 14th. I sold my house. I got engaged, and I took a bunch of money and bought a bunch of stock, dude. You know, everything just like took a huge dip. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finally do something. So 2020, I mean, I know it was a struggle for a lot of people.
Sure.
I did incredibly well. 2020.
Good for you.
And people sometimes would look at me with an eyebrow raise and say, how are you doing so well, man? Like, I'm not flaunting anything, man. I know people are struggling. I got family that's struggling.
Yeah.
It was just about like a buildup of 8 years getting sober, no vacations, no holidays, no weekends. The best time that I spent was time with my family. You know, my idea of a weekend was, you know, spending a couple of days with one of my daughters, or going out BMXing with one of my boys. And that for me was a holiday.
Yeah.
And, you know, you won't see me in no Hawaii or Mexico beach resorts. Like, I was literally grinding. And even if I was traveling to see my family, I had my laptop with me. I was editing videos. I was drawing, painting, hustling. And I don't even need the galleries anymore. You know, I've said no to licensing deals and gallery representation. I think
that's great, man.
I'm really happy kind of doing it my own way, staying totally independent. And
yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. And I love these stories, because I think it's a way that people need to realize that, I mean, everyone talks about the overnight success, right? Like, and they say the real overnight success take 10 years or more. And it's interesting because, you know, in no way is my business solidified. You know, who knows what could happen, but like, you know, we had a similar situation. Like, right around COVID last year, I thought we were going to go under. I was like, things just aren't working out. Like, our clients, they're just not great. And, you know, something's just not working.
Shutting down, man. You know,
everything shut down. But this, I mean, I guilty. I was like a few weeks prior to it. I was like, man, what are we going to do to make this thing turn? And it really made us hungry, you know? Like, I think we had sat back a little bit and we're like, hey, man, this thing's running itself. Like, we're good to go. And it takes those scary moments to be like, what the fuck are we going to do? What the hell are we going to do? Like, I don't want to go back to work. I'm used to my lifestyle now. I don't want to go back and have a boss. And I think it's a similar situation to you, where it's like, you know, I was able to scratch by, I was able to pay my bills, but like, I was not making a profit. And as soon as you realize that and you figured out a goal, it's like, that's when things really started to really take off. And I think my point to this rambling story of mine is that I think most people give up before they hit that point, right? They go like, hey, this thing isn't going to work. I guess I'm just going to give up, versus the, let me fucking think about this. Let me figure this out. And that's when you're able to refocus, reorganize, get the team on board, whoever it may be, I think that's when the magic really happens. So I'm happy it happened for you. I'm glad that you're able to do all this stuff independently. It's a really cool story, man.
Well, listen, man, you know, I'll tell you the one thing that bothers me a little bit, because I'm such a firm believer in networking. And, you know, it drives me crazy to see successful people on Instagram or whatever talking about how they're self-made. It's such a fucked up message to send to younger kids trying to come up. There's no such thing as self-made, and maybe I missed it somewhere in our culture. I mean, you know, I'm from the streets. I get the term, but I don't understand how that crosses over into business. I mean, you need a network, man. Like, my mom is like my biggest hype man. Like, if I was a rapper, my mom would be on stage, like just waving a towel, like, you know, saying all the shit that I'm saying. I'm like, she literally is my biggest hype man. And like, you know, sometimes I'll log into Instagram and it'll be like 5 comments. I'm like, yeah, someone just commented on my shit. And it's my mom literally tagging me in 5 different memes.
I love it.
And like, and I appreciate it, man, you know, because there's no way that I could say I'm self-made. I mean, my mom's like one of my biggest supporters. You know, I mean, she's the original investor in my artwork, buying me color crayons and watercolors and books. I mean, always buying me the next book to learn about whatever. And that part I don't understand. And I've also seen a lot of people get involved in the cannabis industry and they go all in, man. And the cannabis industry is like supply and demand is just, it is what it is, right? Like, and they give up after a year. They're like, man, I don't have a Bentley, I don't have a Ferrari, I don't have a Lambo after year 2. And it's like, dude, it really doesn't matter, but like, it's going to take 3-5 years to really see any kind of good margin where like, you've made enough mistakes, you've built your network. And that's the thing that I'm going to always talk about when it comes to business. You got to have a solid network, that make a ton of mistakes, and you got to be smart with the people that you're doing business with, you know.
You got to deliver. I mean, you got to figure your shit out. And I think the other interesting part, because I mean, you're making a million great points here, right? Like the network is huge. Having people that can rely on you is huge. And being able to like self-assess that, you know, whatever it is that I'm delivering, whether it's, you know, my art piece or, you know, the service or the product, that like it's not always a finished product. Like there's ways to tweak it, make it better, reassess, fix your process. Like there's always things that can be done. And it's when you sit back and think that everything's done and you're made in the shade, that's when kind of all hell breaks loose, at least in my opinion.
Well, kind of, you know, and that's, you know, kind of to wrap this thing up, man, is that, you know, people will come to me and say, oh my God, dude, you're a full-time artist. Like, that's amazing. And depending on my mood, you know, I'm like, man, you know, I just spent an entire day packing and shipping. Today was not a fun day. You know, I figured out all the margins on like, you know, how many of these materials am I going to get are recycled materials? And you know, how am I going to be earth friendly with all this cardboard and all this tape and all this packaging? And I'm still working on that because there has to be a profit to it, you know?
Right.
And I'm meeting, you know, new artists who are losing money. They're making great art, but they don't know how much it costs to pack or how much it costs to ship.
Right.
And, you know, their margin is like, damn, dude, it just cost me $25 to send this painting at the end of the day. And looking at everything, man, like how much is canvas? I had to learn how to stretch my own canvas. I had to learn, you know, I have people that just, they want shortcuts, man. They'll hit me up on Instagram or whatever and be like, hey man, how do you do that? I always wanted to do that. And I just say, man, you know how I do it? I do it with a lot of hard work and determination.
Right, I figured it out. People
will say, hey, how long does it, you know, they'll start to argue about how much I'm charging. Well, how long did that even take you? They'll say. And I say, you know what? It's Pablo Picasso said it, man. He's like, took me 40 years to make it.
Right.
It's your, again, it's
you're
your
paying for experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, have you seen like the spin art that's taken off on TikTok? Like where they literally put it on like a drill and spin it around. And people were like, well, this took you 5 seconds. Like you should charge me $5 or whatever it is. They're bitching about price. Like, no, dude, this is my idea. I came up with it. I came up with all of this. It's not, you're not paying for this one painting. You're paying for the closet of bad paintings, like you were saying, that got me to understand how to do this the best way I possibly can. So,
well, I think, you know, people have to remember that, like, you know, when it comes to me being creative, whether it's a painting or a sculpture, a diorama or whatever, it's, I sort of self-taught myself everything and then learned from other people as well. And then just had, you know, great support in that. Like, dude, my dad is like an intense human being, man. He's like a gangster and contractor. He's like no bullshit, man. A very few words.
See him riding horses and shit.
Yeah, man. And he would literally like kick my ass growing up, like physically kick my ass. I was like in fear of him. And like, you know, I definitely wasn't like super abused, but I got like my fair of ass whoopings.
Sure.
And, you know, I don't hold anything against him. I mean, I love the guy, man. He's just old school. He's built totally differently. Now, my point to all that, you know, painting that picture of him is that he would come in the room to yell at me about like not taking the trash cans out, right? But like if I was drawing or painting something, it was almost like kryptonite to him because he didn't understand it, but he knew he liked it. So he would kind of like, I could see him at the corner of my eye, like backing out of the room and shutting the door. And, to this day, I think that anything that I ever did creatively, it was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to mess with him. I'm going to let him do that thing, because he might do something with it one day. He saw the gift.
Right.
He's an intuitive human being. Like I said, he's just gangster as shit. And like, I think that now as a grown up, I look back at that and I'm like, I didn't spend my time playing video games. I wasn't out on the street gang banging and selling crack or whatever my friends are doing. And I was really happy just at home being creative. And so I think that given where I grew up, kind of the intensity of my household, art was definitely a way for me to run away.
Yeah.
Without actually doing it, without packing a backpack and leaving.
Right.
I was able to escape. And this is something that's important for people to understand about artists and about creatives, is that this is more than experience. And this is like life experience.
Right.
This,
it's a calling.
Every once in a while, man, there's something that'll land. I've drilled so many holes in my fingers, and I've cut my finger, almost lost my hand. The saying of like blood, sweat, and tears, it's a real saying. Like, it's a real saying for a reason. And I'm not at all making like $1 million a year. I mean, I probably could, doing some kind of art direction, kind of creative direction for somebody else, but I'm totally happy with how simple my life has become. And that's because I'm staying busy. I'm doing the work. And again, like we talked about already a couple of times, just delivering, and over delivering too.
Right.
That's kind of been, my thing with people is people are, well, how long does it take to get a one-off painting? And I tell them, 6 to 8 weeks. And when they get that thing in 3 weeks, man, they're stoked. I mean, only once I kind of failed to deliver, and it's just like COVID and shutdowns and all this other stuff. He like hit me up, and he ordered 2 pieces, and one was going out to a celebrity, and I was like, man, I just totally dropped the ball. I just like didn't finish it, man. And rather than give him excuses, what I did, I dropped everything that I was doing, and I finished it, and I packed it, and I shipped it.
Right.
I want to say, he went from being like, hey man, no hard feelings, give me all my money back, to like 48 hours later, they were hanging up in his house. And I don't even know, at that point, it's not even about money,
Right.
At that point, it's about
your reputation,
your name, man.
Yeah, exactly.
For all the young business people starting, get yourself a memorable business card. Always.
I love that card.
It's like business cards are old school, but I had done I want to say like 2009 is when I did my first Amex ripoff.
Yeah, your little black card. Yeah.
It's just stupid, it's stupid, but it's funny too.
Yeah, it's great. It's a conversation starter too. It's like, dude, what is this? It stands out. I love it.
I've seen everything, man. I saw a watch company. They had a business card that was a coin, like an actual coin, like clank, like a big, beautiful coin, and it had his number on it and everything. I want to say it was like Breitling or something. It was like creative director at Breitling or one of those.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember just looking at the damn thing, and it was like heavy. I was like, man, this is cool. I remember that was Breitling. There was another guy. I want to say he was from I want to say it was a Swedish exotic car maker called Koenigsegg. And their business card had this like flip out USB, and it was as thin as a business card, but it had the USB flipped out. You stick it in your laptop or your computer, and you get all these like beautiful photos and videos and links. Like
shit.
Coolest thing, man. These are just made out of like recycled cardboard. I used to actually make them out of plastic, like hard, embossed credit card plastic. But again, man, I'm trying to do my absolute best to
just quality and be different. I love it,
man. And being earth friendly, man. I mean,
yes,
loving the earth a little bit is okay. I feel like people feel like it's not okay, but yeah, man, being a little bit healthy and keeping your mind strong is an absolute gift you could give yourself every day.
Totally, man. I mean, I'm happy for you, dude, and you're killing it. And I really appreciate it. This was super insightful. I hope you enjoyed it. And,
yeah, man.
I'm happy for you. We're gonna push this thing out, and I hope people go take a look, because your art is literally one of a kind. There's something special about it. We still don't have a piece yet. We have a couple. Allison has a couple that she has her eyes on. I have one that you did a long time ago that I love, and I'm waiting for another one that's similar to come out. So we'll definitely be making a purchase here soon. But I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, no, man, thank you. And when people do look at the art, it is intentional that there are 4 or 5 varying styles that I
Yeah.
go into. Some of it is very pop. Some of it is a little more surreal. And I have this one customer client friend, and she has like 2 in each style. And the greatest compliment that I've ever gotten from her and a couple other people is that, like, wait, these are all the same artists? Yeah, she's got like 10 pieces, man, and they're all me, and they're just
That's
different
awesome.
styles, different finishes. And I think that's a testament to working with all these brands too. And again, jumping into a startup or jumping into a brand and wearing different hats, man. Never feeling like you're better than anybody else.
Right.
Pick the phone, clean the toilet, do the photos, like whatever, man. Whatever it takes for everyone to succeed, man. And I think that there needs to be a little bit more of that written into what your job description is, man. Is I've seen kids who are like, that's not my job. I'm not doing that. And then dude gets fired the next day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a great thing to end on. Like, for all you out there listening, don't just do what's on your job description. Try and learn some other shit. Make yourself invaluable, and irreplaceable.
Absolutely, man. Always exceed expectation, for sure.
Yes. Well, Nic, this was great, man. I really appreciate it. Where's the best way to find you? Are we sending people to your Instagram? Send them to your website? What do you want to do?
Instagram is the most updatable.
Okay.
NicMaxGym.com. That's me, Nicholas Max.
Yeah, I'll put all the links in the bio. And yeah, man, everyone, you got to go check it out. And Nic, thanks again, man. This was fun.
Yeah, pretty soon I'm going to quit making art, and I'm just going to focus on being a rapper on SoundCloud. That's next for me, man.
Thanks again, man.
All right, man.
Hey,